The Atlantic Ocean has always been a place of danger, but in the summer of 1915, the peril usually came from man-made machines, not nature itself. World War I was raging, tearing Europe apart, and the seas had become a hunting ground. The German Imperial Navy was unleashing a new form of terror upon the Allies, the U-boat. These iron wolves prowled beneath the waves, striking silently and disappearing before the smoke had even cleared. One such vessel was the U-28, commanded by Freiherr Baron Georg-Günther von Forstner. Von Forstner was a serious man, a disciplined, aristocratic naval officer who did not believe in fairy tales. He was a man of steel, mathematics, and warfare. But on the 30th of July 1915, off the coast of Ireland, the Baron witnessed something that defied all logic, something that would stay locked in his memory for nearly 2 decades before he dared to speak of it. It began as a routine patrol. The U-28 was cruising on the surface, recharging its batteries and scanning the horizon for British transport ships. The sun was bright, the visibility good. The lookout spotted smoke on the horizon, the British steamer, Iberian, carrying a cargo of valuable goods for the Allied war effort. The hunt was short. The Iberian attempted to flee, but the U-boat was positioned perfectly. Von Forstner gave the order. A torpedo hissed through the water, leaving a white wake as it raced toward the unsuspecting steamer. The impact was devastating. The Iberian shuddered as the explosion ripped through her hull. She began to list heavily, her stern rising into the air as the bow plunged toward the seabed. Von Forstner, standing on the conning tower of his submarine, watched the destruction through his binoculars. It was a grim but necessary part of his duty. He needed to confirm the sinking and identify the cargo if possible. Alongside him on the tower stood 6 other men, the chief engineer, the navigator, and the helmsman among them. They watched the Iberian sink rapidly, vanishing beneath the chopping waves. For 25 seconds, there was nothing but the swirling white foam where the ship had gone down. The ocean seemed to have swallowed the vessel whole. Then, the sea erupted, a massive underwater explosion, likely the Iberian's boilers detonating under the immense pressure of the deep, shattered the surface. A geyser of water shot hundreds of feet into the air, carrying with it debris, wreckage, and chunks of the ship. The U-28 rocked violently in the shockwave, but as the water cascaded back down, every man on that conning tower froze in disbelief. Thrown clear of the water by the force of the blast was not just wreckage, but a creature, a living, thrashing, colossal animal. In his 1933 account, published in a German newspaper long after the fear of immediate ridicule had passed, Von Forstner described the scene with chilling clarity. The creature was enormous, estimated at roughly 20 meters, 60 feet in length. It had been hurled nearly 80 feet into the air, twisting in pain and confusion against the backdrop of the gray Atlantic sky. It was not a whale, Von Forstner wrote. It was not a shark. The creature possessed a shape that belonged to a different era. It had a long, tapering tail, 4 distinct limbs with powerful webbed feet, and a massive, pointed head with long jaws. The Baron described it as resembling a gigantic crocodile, yet the mechanics of its body were wrong for a crocodile. It was too large, its limbs too adapted for the open ocean. For nearly 15 seconds, the beast remained visible, silhouetted against the spray, before it crashed back into the churning water with a splash that rivaled the initial explosion. On the conning tower, there was total silence. These were hardened sailors, men who had seen the worst of war, yet they stood paralyzed. They looked at one another, seeking confirmation that they hadn't lost their minds. "Did you see that?" they asked. Every man confirmed it. 7 witnesses, 7 trained observers, all seeing the same prehistoric nightmare. They did not have time to take a photograph. The violence of the moment happened too fast. By the time the water settled, the creature was gone, presumably returning to the crushing depths from which the explosion had disturbed it. Von Forstner did not log the creature in the official U-28 war diary. In 1915, reporting a sea monster would have been career suicide. He would have been relieved of command and sent to a sanatorium. So, he kept the secret. He continued to fight the war, It wasn't until 1933, when the Loch Ness Monster craze began to sweep the world, that the Baron finally felt safe enough to share his story. He wasn't seeking fame. He was simply offering a corroboration that the ocean still held secrets. He suggested that if such a creature could exist in the deep Atlantic, perhaps other legends were true as well. Skeptics have tried to debunk the story for decades. They claim the crew saw a dying whale, or perhaps a large piece of wreckage that looked like an animal in the chaos. But von Forstner was adamant. He knew what a whale looked like. He knew what wreckage looked like. This was alive. The description given by the crew, the long neck, the 4 paddles, the crocodile-like head matches almost perfectly with the fossil records of a Mosasaur or a plesiosaur, marine reptiles that supposedly went extinct 66 million years ago. Is it possible that in the deepest trenches of the Atlantic, where humanity rarely ventures, a population of these ancient titans survived? Or was it a new species entirely? Something evolution had hidden in the dark, cold pressure of the abyss. Baron von Forstner died in 1955, taking the final truth with him. But the log of the sinking of the Iberian remains. The coordinates are known, and somewhere down there, in the darkness off the coast of Ireland, the truth is waiting. The ocean is vast, deep, and terribly silent, and as the crew of the U-28 discovered, we are not always alone in the water.